All right, welcome to this first video of the new series of astrology videos. This one is going to be the ascendants. So the last one was the sun through different signs. So how your ego gets represented when it moves through various zodiac signs, and how your personal creative expression and all that gets experienced through different zodiac signs. This one is the ascendant. So the ascendant is the point on the eastern horizon of the zodiac belt when you were born. So let's say when you were born, Taurus was rising on the eastern horizon at that exact moment of your birth, then you would be a Taurus ascendant. And the thing that's unique about the ascendant sign is that it actually comes with a lot of extra meanings. So with each of the planets, they're only in one place at a time, and they have their aspects, but we'll get into that later, like how everything opposite the sun is debilitated. But for the ascendant, it creates kind of the background of the chart. So you can imagine that like the planets are existing in their particular places at the moment you were born, but the ascendant is actually a map of the whole sky. Because if you can calculate your ascendant, then you can calculate where everything else is, all the other constellations and signs and all that stuff are. So it kind of becomes the backdrop of your chart. So all the planets are moving around in reference to the ascendant and all the houses. So this was initially going to be a video on the Aries Ascendant, but because Aries is the natural first house, so the Aries Ascendant is basically like the true ascendant, in that first house always has an Aries quality, second house always has a Taurus quality, third house always has a Gemini quality, and going all the way through, all the way to Pisces having a 12th house quality. That means that if your first house is Aries, then everything's basically going to be in alignment with the house system and the signs that naturally go along with it. Versus, let's say somebody had a Cancer ascendant, then their first house would have a Cancer flavor, their second house would have a Leo flavor, their third house would have a Virgo flavor, etc., etc. So everything would kind of be shifted a particular amount. But with Aries, nothing is really shifted. So instead of making an Aries Ascendant video, what I'm going to do is just sort of describe the houses in terms of their sign and the sign that naturally goes along with them, and like how that particular energy sees the world. And then from there, I'll go on to what happens when you have signs other than Aries in your ascendant. So for the first house, which is naturally connected, naturally corresponds to the sign of Aries, ruled by Mars. If you remember the sun videos through signs. The first house always represents your goals, your personal ambitions, and what sort of flavor these take on. Your second house represents, which is naturally related to Taurus, naturally corresponds to Taurus. The second house always represents your personal savings and the things you own in a fixed quality. That's why it's a fixed earth sign. The third house always corresponds to Gemini, and Gemini is always related to communication and talking to your friends and close relatives and close family members, that kind of thing. Fourth house is always related to Cancer, and it always deals with stuff like the home and your own personal comfort zone and things that make you emotionally happy. Fifth house is always related to Leo. Leo always represents creativity and art and like music and being the center of attention. So anywhere where you're on a stage and everybody's around you. Sixth house always represents Virgo. Virgo always represents your day-to-day routine and your just the patterns that you go throughout the day, and also your sense of personal hygiene and like cleanliness, as well as arguments and facts and enemies, information in general. Seventh house is always related to Libra, and Libra it represents deals, debts, negotiations, and relationships, and marriages. Eighth house is always related to Scorpio. Scorpio always represents your seeking hidden knowledge and doing research and trying to get to the bottom of whatever, trying to understand basically everything, obsessive fixation on truth. And then ninth house is always related to Sagittarius. Sagittarius always represents scholarship, being a professor, being a teacher, learning from people, and also just observing the world around you through a particular ideological lens, like a religion or a scientific belief system. The 10th house is always related to Capricorn. Capricorn represents your personal impact on the world, your career goals, and your professional goals, like the things you want to achieve in life. 11th house is always related to Aquarius. Aquarius represents doing the things of Capricorn more efficiently. So, like, instead of just the Capricorn mindset, which is I'm gonna take like time to do this, and like it's all just work ethic and doing the work. Aquarius is like, well, what's the fastest way to get this done so I can achieve more in my life? That's why it represents science, tools, like leverage, basically, and useful information. And then the 12th house always represents Pisces, and Pisces represents your dream life, your inner world, your ability to like theorize and hallucinate about things that aren't already existing, to imagine new information, new ideas, and also it's your fantasy, your private fantasy life. So anything that you have that's like a hidden dream or something that you've always wanted to do but never told anybody, that relates to Pisces as well. So for an Aries ascendant, all those things are essentially like overlaid over the parts of the zodiac that they correspond to. So first house is always going to be Aries, second house is always going to be Taurus, third house Gemini, etc., all the way to 12th house Pisces. So there's really not a need to make a video on the Aries ascendant, but my next video is going to be Taurus ascendant and what happens when that whole cycle shifts over 30 degrees clockwise. So that means Taurus will become the first house. So Taurus will be in the place of Aries. Gemini will be in the place of Taurus. Cancer will be in the place of Gemini, etc., etc. And that will be the next video. So tune in for that. This was just a brief synopsis on the idea of the ascendant and explaining the idea of the Aries ascendant and the idea of houses corresponding to signs. So tune in next time for more information.